That last sentence in David Whyte's poem always stays with me. The silence, you can feel Lazarus deep inside you, and then rise and walk toward the light. It's like this quality of inevitability and irresistibility, the power of word and the power of the light, like turning to a whisper of a warm breeze on a cold day. And we respond to it, we children of the seasons, almost like as Lazarus, we have no choice. Or borrowing from Salem Blake's poem, the sun will melt our winter hearts. Today echoes that. Today is a message of a bit of how the early Gaels and later medieval Christians from Ireland and Scotland and the Isle of Man celebrated early spring. Their rituals and their stories have come down to us through earth-centered traditions like paganism and Wicca and other traditions nowadays. Now, if you would like to know more about these traditions or have questions, you can ask our friends who are members of our local Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans, which is an affiliate of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And perhaps if you'd like to ask some questions, you can do so at Fellowship Hour. They'll be there to join us. I think learning about faith traditions is exactly like reading poetry. It enlarges our perspective on life and how other people throughout other times and other places get through life as best they can. Yes, today it is snowing, but yesterday the sun rose 10 minutes before 7 and stayed with us the whole day long. But you know, that dawn didn't fool me. There was no warmth in the wind, but the light was welcome. And today, it's cold again. You see, we do respond to the changes that we feel. We are children of the seasons. So I'm going to ask you a question. What does the lengthening of days call out of you? Not to you, but of you. See, we already know what early spring calls to us: frozen mud, allergies, and waiting for spring training. Well, maybe we do imagine, as Natalie put it, the quickening of the earth and of our senses. But what does this time of year call out of you, out of the depth of you? Because we are children of the seasons, children of humankind that lived by knowing and respecting the times of the year. Ancestors carefully tracked the stars and the tides and the seasons, and they marked for their children's history of great deprivation and great joy. Their celebrations help them move from grief to gratitude and to hope, and eventually to peace. Bad things happen, but they don't last always. Good things happen, but they don't last always either. So we remember the joy to sustain us through the sorrow. And that is what celebration and ritual can be all about: reminders of joy and hope in the midst of sorrow. So this is the time to take a hold of that reluctant and lazy Lazarus death that is the fear of living that's inside of you and me, and bring it into the light. Imbolc is traditionally the evening of January 31st to the evening of February 1st. It was a Gaelic feast. It is situated, as Natalie said, between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. The origins of its name continue to be debated, but generally they resolve around hearth and home. Imbolc, the word has been said to come from words for in the belly, referring to fertility, pregnant ewes, milk, anticipation of new life. It's also been said to come from words that refer to washing or cleansing, and think of spring cleaning as a ritual tradition that has gone for millennia. The holiday is also associated with the goddess Brigid. She was one of a mythical race, the people of Danu, or Tiwa de Danann. And one of her roles was to bring us from the dark of winter into the promise of spring and the lengthening of days. And if you know anything of the saints in the Christian church, Saint Brigid might have been a Christianization of the goddess Brigid. And there are stories about Saint Brigid as well. Some of them are that she grew up as a child unwanted. Sometimes she was a servant as a child, sometimes a slave. One of the unique things about her is that she was known for giving away to the poor whatever was in her pocket, and also some of the belongings of others that she was staying with. Think of her as an ancient female Robin Hood. This got her into trouble until she landed with a noted abbot who recognized her qualities, and she then grew up as a nun. Traditions for St. Brigid's Day are again around hearth and home. Families would prepare a place to sleep for her on Imbolc. They would prepare a meal. Children would go through the streets collecting coins to be given away to the poor. They would make a special cross made out of reeds in a particular pattern. And households all throughout Ireland and Scotland and the Isle of Man would light candles and burn fires to bring the daylight closer. Nowadays, Imbolc is celebrated as a holiday by pagans and Wiccans, and it's one of the 8 Sabbats on the wheel of the year. Now, the day after Imbolc, on February 2nd, the ancient Irish would say, if the day dawned bright, the Gaelic, who was the divine hag, would awaken from her winter sleep and go out into the fine weather and collect more wood to heat her home against more winter cold. And what is February 2nd to us now? Groundhog Day. So what does Imbolc encourage us to think about? Remember, this morning is about enlarging our perspectives, relinquishing the darkness that's inside all of us and letting in the light of day, making room for the light. What is the hardest thing for you right now? What is the hardest thing about your life right now? Is it the isolation? Is it the loss of the people and the things that sustain you? Things are scary, but we know we're supposed to keep going the best that we can. But there's this current of fear underneath everything, every aspect of our days, not knowing for sure what's going to happen, feeling threatened by what we don't know, wanting answers. What is on your mind right now? So let's delve back into the past and think about what Brigid represented, what Imbolc represents. There will be better days. There will be better days. And in the meantime, Grab hold of joy and kindness when it appears in our lives, even if it is only within ourselves. We know that we can let the waves wash over us, like that song by Kate Miner, Tomorrow. There will be better days. Let the waves wash over us. There's this whole theme about turning to the earth and to the home fires to celebrate in the midst of tough times, to be drawn outside of ourselves and into this consciousness of others, other people, our surroundings, being for others a blessing as a community, sharing with the poor, making a meal and a resting place in your heart, ridding ourselves of the detritus of living, and thinking, who would we give our things to? Make it personal. Who would you give your things to? This is a time where we recognize endings and new beginnings. The whole sense of not being there yet, but getting there. That's what this time represents. So let this be an ending and a new beginning, a stirring awareness of how we can mend our own brokenness by mending the broken world. Lift up your hands and walk toward the light. And may it be so.